So I'm just going to go through how to use image trace in Illustrator. You may have an image that is being done as just using like a raster image, which is essentially just pixels, and it could be pixelated, and you may want to have something that can really stand up to scrutiny at a very big scale, and maybe it's a flat color image. I've currently got an image where if I place it, so if I get a file and place, and I'm going to take this image here, I'm going to click and drag from the top left corner to bottom right to add it to the artboard. My artboard is about 1000 by 1000 pixels, but you can set your artboard to whatever size you need. I mean, the whole point of this is that it will be, you're converting something to be vector graphics and therefore scalable. So I've got this image, for instance, and if I look at it, you can see that it's very pixelated around, you know, the lines and areas of high contrast, and I want this image to be really scalable. So what I can do is if I select the image and I go to Object and Image Trace, I've got two options. One is to make and one is to make and expand. Make and expand will make will convert the image to vector graphics, and expand will break it up into its individual bits. So make is kind of what you need if you want to preview it first and make some changes to it. So I'm going to go to Image Trace and Make, and in here you'll see that it's changed to black and white. But one of the things you should notice if I undo that is that those lines became became smooth. So if I go to Image Trace again and Make, you can see those lines are smoothed out, and that's because Illustrator is reading the image and the pixelation, and it's deciding to put in curves and paths and fills where it thinks, based on the color image, where it thinks they best suit and where they should go. So it's picked out the black areas here. It's gone black and white because that was the last setting I used. So if I go up to the image trace panel up here and click on that, this is where I'll get my settings. And there's also an advanced group of settings that I can also use as well, which I'll go through in a second. The mode currently is black and white, and I'm going to change that to color, and it'll recalculate, and that's where it'll go to color. I could also go to grayscale if I wanted to, and it'll turn into a grayscale image, but I just want it to be color. I want to have a look at these advanced settings. If I make the path quality really low, it's going to reduce it down to a very basic level, and you can see it's using as few points as possible, which is why it's creating this really basic look. However, if I whack up the path quality really high, what it's going to do is it's going to make all these lines really bobbly, and that's because it's trying to trace even those pixels and those nasty edges. It's trying its best to trace those, and that's why you're getting these wobbly edges. So actually, if I set that to 50%, I'll get quite a decent halfway house, and that'll work just fine. In terms of corners, it's basically the quality of the corners. If I have a look, if I scale the corners right down, you can see again the quality of the corners reduces, and you get fewer points in the corners, and it gets pretty shonky. So if I turn the corners right up, you'll see that it tries its best to make good quality pointed corners. Noise, if you want to cut the noise out, so if you want to cut the noise out completely, then you might find that little features like these corners of his mouth here, which I intended to have in, it will assume is noise if you turn that up to 100%, or up to 100 pixels. So it's going on the size of the amount of size of pixels, and looking at that threshold, and any points where sort of anomalies that are around that size, it's going to cut. So I'm going to reduce the noise down, so it is going to get things like the logo, the website name in there, where it's going to sort of include that, because it's not considering that as noise anymore. However, I don't really mind that, but it has brought in back in these corners of his mouth, which is what I need. Whereas again, if I whack that up to the top, it'll think the corners of the mouth are noise and will cut them out. So in terms of the method, a button creates cutout pass. As it says, it will cut the pass out of the face but what I want to do is actually have it as overlapped paths, so that these features of the eyes and well, the nose and mouth sit over the top, for instance, of this pink face area. I don't want these to be cut out of the face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the number of colours down as well, because I only need a couple. In fact, I only need about 4. So I'm going to drop the colours right down. It should cut out some bits and pieces. And I think I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm now going to use it to expand. I'm going to use expand in image trace. So if I go to image trace and expand, and there you can see that it's converted it into the lines. And if I go into the group, it'll have included all these different bits, which I can turn on and off and amend as I need to. So, and I've got his face in there, like I was saying. It's now these parts are layered over the top of the general face shape underneath, and that's about it.